Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Seneca County Commissioner meeting, August 18th, 10 a.m. We'll call this meeting to order, and we'll start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Schuff, please.
Please, Bob. Dear Lord, please bless us. Please give us guidance here as we go to discuss finances, property, personnel, and issues facing our county. Please help us to work together. Please help us to see the good in one another and to do what's best for our residents. Thank you for the air. Thank you for the roofs over our heads. Thank you for water. Thank you for all you give us, and help us to improve those things. Amen.
Amen.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here.
Commissioner Schuff,
Here.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Here. Okay, I will accept the motion to approve the digital audio recordings of our previous board session, Thursday, August 4th, for our regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes, thank you. So we are excited to have the chamber here today. You're first on the agenda. And I know you're more than the chamber, but we'll have Bryce come up, take the floor, bring your team up, and we're excited. Should I put my seatbelt on, Bryce?
You should, hopefully.
Okay,
Maybe a helmet.
for this. I love it. Go
Then
get-
Jimmy's got a PowerPoint he's got to pull up
Go
for us
get
real
'em.
quick, so. Well, good morning, Commissioners. We just want to provide an update with Destination Seneca County. Now we're entering year 2 of the renewed contract that we have with the Commissioners to provide tourism services for our community. I felt like year 1, we're getting things going, and year 2, we're definitely hitting our stride. So we just want to provide our annual update about all the great things that are happening with tourism and along with our partners. Should we do something like before?
Stacy will get you here.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
I got you.
First off, we want to welcome actually a new team member we have in the audience, Mariana Teal. She's a new Regal gal. She joined our team as intern last year, and so with that, we're actually going to bring her on. She's going to do some remote work for us throughout the school year. She's a student at Ohio University, and she's been working with us on special projects and some marketing, manage our community calendar and other things like that. So I want to give her an opportunity. If you want to say anything about your experience this past summer with us as an intern, as you go into your part-time role with us.
Okay, yeah. So I started working with the Chamber and Destination Seneca County back in March. Started working on updating and keeping track of the data through the Brew Tour and the Geo Trail, and I've also updated the community calendar and reached out to our new members, started writing blogs about them and helping with some marketing campaigns as well.
We obviously can't forget Deb, who's been our seasoned vet, who's been with the organization for 25 plus years. Her institutional knowledge and definitely an asset to the team as well. With that, BedTax obviously very exciting. We just got in Q2 numbers for 2022. We're up 12.5% in comparison to last year. It's actually a record high for BedTax dollars in Q2 that we've ever had on this chart itself. Obviously reflects 2021 and for Q3 and 4. I'm happy to say that Q2 of this year, Q3 of last year, and Q4 of last year were all record numbers for BedTax for our community. Obviously, folks are coming to visit and experience. I know we've all seen, coming out of the pandemic, numbers have increased, but they've significantly increased, which it's good to see people out and about. With that, we're going to touch the 4 points of what we consider with Destination Seneca County. I'm going to toss it over to Marissa, who's going to talk a little more about marketing.
Yeah, so like Bryce mentioned, is that we have broken down what we do into these 4 areas. So marketing, relationships, leisure travel, and then group travel. So for marketing, so a huge part of that is our social media. We feel like that's definitely where we're making the biggest impact and how we're attracting people, but also letting our internal audience of those who live in Seneca County know what's happening within the community and letting them know that they can stay here in their own backyard to do things. So our Facebook reach so far this year is over 1 million, and that is a 12.96% increase versus the same time frame last year, which we're excited to see. When we first started really getting into social and doing things, like Bryce said, in year 1, it was kind of from 0 to 100, so our margins were really big, but it's good to see that continue to grow as we do different activities and projects and things like that. So our post reach within the last 90 days, a very similar comparison is the 53,000 people, and that's up 121% compared to the previous 90 days too. So again, we're continuing to get better and continuing to see those things grow. And then Instagram reach, so if we had to rank our social media in terms of impact, it would probably be Facebook, Instagram, and we're really growing our Twitter and LinkedIn audience as well. But over 12,000, and that's a 34% increase versus that same time frame last year. And then for our website, we'll talk about here in a minute. We completely redid our website, which we're excited about. And then we always want to make sure that we're being content creators, not just content sharers. So one way we do that is with blogs. So far this year, we've written 91 blogs, which is a 117% increase versus the same time frame. And then for our website visitors, that's obviously the place we're directing them to, is that they get to see everything happening within the county, and we want to really be that true information source. So we're at 59,000, which is still a 38% increase versus last year. So one thing we really focused on this past year is improving the experience for people, is how can you make it as easy as possible and have people take the road most traveled to get the information that they're looking for and to get them to come to Seneca County or stay in Seneca County. So we did completely overhaul our website to make it more welcoming, more user-friendly, and definitely look more like a destination website with everything very uniform and easy to find. One cool feature on that is our chat function. So we like to say that we're available 24/7, so they can always call the office if they have questions, but they can also chat in on the website, and that automatically pings me or Bryce to be able to answer their question. If it is a certain event happening, are they lost, do you guys offer this, and so on. Also, with improving the experience, like Mariana spoke about, is our community calendar. So that's something that we have always done. Before, we had a separate chamber calendar that was just chamber members and events, and then we had one specifically for tourism. We have now since combined those two and made one Seneca County community calendar. So whether you're a business owner, you live in the community, you're a visitor, you're looking for events specifically outdoors or historical events, whatever it might be, we have everything on the community calendar to be that one-stop shop of things to do. And then you can also filter by your interest or dates or whatever you might be looking for too. So we've seen a lot of return on that. We've seen different organizations directing people towards a community calendar, and obviously we're continuing to update as we find events, and then also people can go in and add events themselves too. So when we did our visitor's guide the last time, it was a 2-year guide. We were kind of getting back on our feet with the visitor's guide and did an overhaul on it. We had changed the size. We wanted to make sure different destinations were featured. But for 2023, we will have a new visitor's guide, which we're excited about. So we are also doing the ad space reservations for that. And so we're excited to see that people are really positive about that and are excited to advertise in the guide because they know how well it does. We also hand deliver them to over 85 different local locations. So before the guides sat in the office and people had to come in and get themselves, we are actually going out, talking to our partners and delivering them as well. And then we also work with a third party that delivers them to the turnpike and things. This is also just an example of what the cover might look like for 2023, a little sneak peek. So we're excited to continue to make that better and make it a guide that people can go to and are proud to give out as well.
And one thing I'll add is we actually added a digital component this year, so it's now also online, flips like a magazine online, and then also our hotels and Airbnbs. I know Mr. Franker owns one. We've now printed a binder. It's more of a heavier piece instead of having a guide that can be easily mangled. We have a piece that we give now to our Airbnbs that they keep there full time, and it's a little more interactive as well. In the front cover, they can scan to go different sections of the guide online. And again, trying to be, as we adjust in the marketplace, how do we provide different pieces that meets that? So if you're on the road, I can go to SenecaCountyGuide.com. I can go right to it, flip it like a magazine. Or if I'm at an Airbnb, I have a piece I can pick up in my hand that's a little more, a little more physical.
Do we have any numbers or statistics as far as like local Airbnbs go, as far as like out of the month, how often are they being rented or utilized?
Yeah, so we did actually, we looked at in terms of bed tax dollars, and we work with a company to determine how much bed tax dollars, because they do not pay bed tax dollars, and what we are losing, it's really quite insignificant. So we don't really have a lot of them. I know that we've had, I think, 3 in the last 3 months alone.
Right now we
and-
have 8 total.
8
throughout the
total, and
county.
there's been 3 added in the last 3 months. So it's growing, but it's not where it needs to be yet. We're finding a lot of folks, I know Mr. Franker can tell you, Cedar Point, and a lot of regional attractions are bringing folks in. The geocaching trail that we're going to talk about, event for next year already, I know they've already booked for that. So people are using them, but we just, again, they're sparingly in our community. But I think we're going to see some growth in the next year.
Cool.
Obviously, another big piece of marketing is that we're trying our best to promote our partners, so our destination partners, events that they're having, things that they're doing that bring the community members into their, whether it be the museum or the concert series or whatever it might be, but also things that bring visitors, so like the Ritz season or the fair. So helping them by creating graphics, promoting them, running paid ads for them and things like that they might not have the resources to do, but we're able to do, that is going to help everyone in the long run too. And then another thing that we've started doing is with our blogs is highlighting destinations, but really telling their story and their journey. So being able to provide more of that behind the scenes and really tell you the story about the people. So the Urban Woody Brewery, for example, we went in, we took pictures, we talked with the owners, and were able to share their story, and people relate with that, and they've got really good feedback. Same thing with the Ritz, is being able to tell the history of it and being able to understand, why should I come there? What am I going to feel when I'm there? What am I going to see? And so we have other destinations too that those are written for, that we'll continue to share, and that also serves then as evergreen content that we can continue to keep on the website, and that will stay relevant for people too. And then obviously last year we mentioned too is trying to build up our stock photography, but also just capturing the moments as things happen. So one thing we really like to do is an in case you missed it. So after events, after tonight's Third Thursday, for example, we'll have an in case you missed it, highlighting the Court Street Market and the Taste of Downtown Tiffin and jams and the Bash of the Bands and so forth, but giving people the opportunity that were there or that did happen to miss it to see what it was all about, and then get excited about the next event that might be similar that they can attend. And again, with this is that we want to feature people. People like to see faces, and they like to see emotions and see what they're doing. So that's something that we're continuing to do. So making sure that our team is as present as possible there, and even when we aren't, making sure that those people putting on events or putting on projects feel that they are connected and supported as well.
And that was one thing when I started this. I thought we did a great job as a community promoting events for the most part, but I felt we did a bad job of telling the story of after the event, again, capturing those emotions, those feelings. And so, we get people comment all the time and said, oh my gosh, I missed last night. I wish I could have gone, right? And it's telling the story of that event, which is something that we've really picked up in the last couple of years.
This may be one of the rare moments I've seen you without a good camera.
Yeah.
So,
I usually hold the camera bag, she has the camera,
Yeah,
so we're a dynamic duo, right?
Always have that.
so it's appreciated,
Yeah.
appreciated, and it's working.
Yeah, I always joke that my job is taking pictures of people who don't want their pictures taken, or that they don't know that their picture's being taken, but
Just never know.
I've gotten very sly at hiding behind things. Along with telling the story and that journey is that we've also found that video has been a really good medium too, of being able to feature different destinations and really be able to tell the story about our community. So there is a new Downtown Tiffin hype video that went out that we partnered with Downtown Tiffin from TSEP with, and that was able to be produced. And then also with Fostoria, we partnered with their Chamber and Visitors Bureau and Economic Development Office to tell the story of Fostoria, that they're able to feature the different highlights there too. So those have been shared on social media. They live on our YouTube channel as well, that we can go back and refer to. And it's a nice way if someone asks why Seneca County or why should we go there, that we can refer to them there. And then along with marketing, a big piece of that is with partnerships. So it goes along with promoting our partners and helping them out and really becoming an extension of our team, but also making sure that we are active in the community and looking for ways to be able to be an asset and be a partner for that. So one big thing that we've done this year is Tiffin is celebrating their 200th year. And so I actually sit on that committee and have been able to help with things like the website and social media, That lovely cutout of Josiah Hedges you see in the picture, I move around once a week with Mariana's assistance when she was here. And
Joshua.
yeah,
I was looking at you, Josiah
yeah, with
Price.
other people's help, but he's hosted in a different business every week or every 2 weeks, and then we put a hit, and then people go out and find a picture or take a picture with him, and then they're submitted to win a prize throughout the year. So we've seen great success with that, and we're continuing to help in all the different ways that we can, but that's just one example of a large-scale event that we can help market and partner with.
So the next point's relationships, obviously something that we continue to improve and work on. First is our partners, obviously, with the Tourism Council, which was a suggestion from the county commissioners when we renewed that contract a few years back. Again, we have a chamber board, which is great, but the chamber board obviously represents small business owners. There's a mix of tourism, but it's something we've continued to improve is, who are our tourism partners and how can we have their voices heard? This group meets on a quarterly basis, and actually, as part of the chamber shifting and changing this last year, now we have a full-time, the vice chair of the Tourism Council now sits on the chamber board moving forward, so they provide a chamber tourism council update every meeting, kind of talk about how tourism's going in the county, again, having a voice at the table, which I think is extremely important for us, and it's something else to note that we went through our first strategic planning process in more than 15 years this past year. And it was, I know Commissioner Paradiso attended, and really was, again, bringing our partners to the table, having a voice for tourism, and so we've got some plans kind of underway. Again, how do you continue to listen and hear and really design our future around the voices of tourism and the chamber as well. So that's something extremely important for us. Next slide. The next is our community, so again, telling the story of our community and being partners with them, whether it be Mike and Tiffany and Fostoria doing a great job with the stage and the brewery and now the winery, and probably next week will be something else, which is really exciting. The coffee shop as well in the Foster block. But then it's, the Franks of the world who are downtown Tiffin, Cabin Creations, who clean their sidewalks every day. And for us, again, being a true partner and telling the story of the Franks who care about that. Because for us, tourism is, every aspect of, keeping our sidewalks and our streets clean, so our visitors come into town to all the different events, and so it's representing, whether it be the fair where we set up a booth all week, or it be the Bicentennial Heritage Festival Parade that we're taking over this year, just for this year, and then, last year's was the Halloween parade. So it's, again, being a true community partner. Next slide. And then that goes with our universities as well. I know Commissioner Paradiso texted me this weekend. I saw the Heidelberg flags downtown.
It's pretty neat.
Unfortunately, Heidelberg moved to a 2-day move-in weekend, and so we found, unfortunately, with vandalism and those things like that, we put the flags up at 6 a.m. The day they move back, and we take them down at roughly 8 p.m. the nights that they as they prepare to go out and do what they do in the afternoons. So this weekend, Marissa and I were up twice on Friday and Saturday putting the flags up and down. Quite an experience. And then this Saturday, Tiffin University moves in, and so that's really, again, when they come into our community, when they see Welcome to Seneca County signs on the welcome signs, the flags up downtown, it's trying to create that environment that really welcomes them and their families to our community. I think it's extremely important. If you move into a brand new community, you got that sense of place that you feel important. For us, it's kind of what we're about.
We're getting pretty fast at it too.
Yeah.
But,
I didn't realize how many flags there were.
yeah.
75.
Once they're all
Franks
the same color, it just,
It's a lot,
you
but it's
can
cool.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
It is.
So
It's impressive.
And the other thing is too is getting
Well-
more involved in the industry. So for example, we participated in Ohio Tourism Day for the first time in our organization's history down in Columbus. We passed out 500 bags of all-rights chips. We were a popular stop during the day. We actually had Denise Bell and Seneca Camerons. We opened up to our other tourism partners to provide us information that we could pass out. We've also were involved in Visit Northwest Ohio, a group that advocates for tourism in Northwest Ohio. It's Marissa and I with the drummer guy up at Fort Meg this last week up in Perrysburg.
He has an official name other than drummer guy, but we'll go with that.
It works, right?
people you get to meet.
Yeah.
For sure. And then the Ohio Travel Association and the Ohio Association of Convention and Visitors Bureaus. So Marissa and I are very active in terms of the tourism industry. We found, Marissa might bring up that we got invited to a travel show in a couple of weeks because of our partners in the tourism industry. It's exclusive. We weren't able to be invited before, but now we did through our partnerships. And then Marissa is graduating from the Ohio Tourism Leadership Academy this year. So she's, again, you can be, knowing all the educational aspects is extremely important. I'm going to jump into leisure travel. Again, something that we're trying to build as well. You may recall last year, a group of us got together, Fostoria Visitors Bureau, downtown Tiffin, Commissioner Schuff, in our office, worked on a brewery bus tour, which was a great idea, but we really found that people want to go experience things on their own. So we launched the Brew Tour, Seneca County Brew Tour, this last year. Actually, just in April of this last year. So it's not that it's pretty new. We have 112 completes, over 3,000 miles traveled to get here, and then about $4,200 spent in our community. When they come to our community, they have to go to the 3 breweries that we have. We're really excited for Optometry as well to open. So we have 4th brewery will be on that as well. They have to support a local business and provide a receipt of their purchase of a local business. And then at the last brewery stop, they get this howler. So it's part of the experience. Again, taking the assets of our community and trying to figure out what we have that's unique. Not a lot of rural communities our size have 3 breweries, and so how do you leverage that? And then really build that so you bring more leisure travel in. It's kind of funny, we've met people along the way. For example, I met a gentleman who came to our community to go to the lab, and he got 1 drink. I met him that night, 9:30 at night at the Urban Woody Brewery. He canceled, he had tickets to the Toledo Walleye hockey game. He canceled his tickets, and his wife stayed the whole day in Seneca County. Actually just started at Jeffrey Jewelers, and then from there they didn't leave until about 10:30 that night. So again, these folks are spending money in our community while they're here. Next slide is the Seneca County geocaching trail. Again, something we picked up last year, September of 2021 it launched. We have 159 completes and roughly 20,000 miles traveled in our community. We track where they come from, and then also the geocaching website, you can see their experiences along the way. They take selfies and they show everything they do, which is really cool. And we've learned about geocaching quite a bit.
We're still very bad at it, but we're really trying.
We're trying. With us growing our geocaching, again, something that this community didn't have before and didn't leverage. We actually were selected to host a Geoclash Festival next year, and that'll be at the East Green Amphitheater. They'll be staying here from Wednesday through Sunday. How many caches do they, again, what's the number?
So they hike through 300 caches throughout the community for that specific event, and it's a competition. So people from all across the state of Ohio, and then also out-of-staters come in, and then they compete against each other, and whichever region finds the most caches throughout the weekend wins.
And how many people did it bring again? Do you know what the count was?
Yeah, so to where the last year's was, they brought around 550, I believe he said, and so we're expecting that same kind of turnout. So.
And it's 550 from a Wednesday through a Sunday, and so that's the really cool thing with us. We work with our hoteliers to ensure we actually got to pick the weekends. We ensured it was a weekend that wasn't booked up for move-in weekends, those kind of things. And so we worked with our partners to ensure that was going to be a success. And then on the top right, that's actually our furthest traveling geocacher to Seneca County. That's Robert, and he came from Poland. We just had someone from Washington, I think last month, but again, they track where they come from. And we got to meet Robert when we were at the last festival, and where we got to make the official announcement, which was cool. Next slide.
So our last point is group travel. So really the true difference between leisure travel and group travel is, like Bryce mentioned, leisure travel is people going out and doing it on their own. They're finding their own things to do, completing it at their own pace. Group travel is what you would probably consider more what we would say bus traffic. So those are folks that are signing up for trips. They're on a bus all day, and they have everything planned out for them, an itinerary for a day or a week or whatever it might be. So before, I would say 20 years ago, bus traffic in Seneca County was pretty strong. In the last couple years, it's definitely been down. We've attended the Destination Seneca County prior to Bryce and I have attended travel shows and things, but weren't seeing a lot of fruition on it. We're excited that we have been able to kind of pick that back up and be able to understand the best practices for the market and understand what people are looking for. So far this year, we've had 4 bus tours in 2022 completed, and those buses were ranged from anywhere from 45 people to the highest at 60 people. And then we have 2 more groups for the remainder of 2022 throughout this summer. And then we have additional leads and plans for 2023. So with these travel shows, as we continue to go to them, we're being able to bring these buses in. There's some communities that all they focus is on is bus traffic, and they do a really good job of it. There's some communities that don't do it at all. So we're trying to find that happy medium. It is a big economic impact. When they come, they go to Ralph's Joy of Living, for example, and each person spends $100. And so if you multiply that by 60 people, it's a great investment back into the local community. And it also allows them to see Seneca County, go back, tell their friends, tell their family, and then they're able to return as well. So travel shows like we spoke of. So Bryce and I attended Heartland in Cleveland. It was that weekend of like the snowstorm, in case anyone was curious. It did take us a very long time to get there, but we made it. And we saw a lot of success from there. And we're able to book some of those trips that have come in 2022 and make great relationships and partnerships with them. They were very impressed with what we had to offer. And then I attended the TAP conference, which is Travel Alliance Partners, and that actually took place in Branson, Missouri this year. And that again was meeting, you actually meet as a pod. So we met with Sandusky County and Visit Northwest Ohio, and were able to pitch to these different tour operators, our community, and then also Ohio as a whole. And then what, like Bryce mentioned, is that we were invited to Great Day Tours, which is an invitation-only tour operator show, and that was thanks to our partners within the organizations that we're involved in. And then we also are doing the AAA show down in Columbus too in October. So we're excited to see what comes of those. But that is all we have for you today. Does anybody have any questions?
Keep up the good work.
And then the chamber, how many ribbon cuttings have you had? That's a different report.
My
I
Deb's
don't know
hands
how
are
you do
sore,
it.
so it's good.
Looking at Deb.
No, it's good. I mean, I think
Like
this
2
year
or 3
we'll be in the, I think we'll finish the year probably high 30s, 40s range. And like the nice thing is, Commissioner Schuff just called me this week about Deckers, the 70th anniversary, and so a lot of it's celebrating again the small businesses in our community. Our job at the Chamber is to obviously be the biggest advocate for small businesses that continue to invest in our community, whether it be the ones that just opened up a couple weeks ago. For example, we had Panion Bookstore we're celebrating in a couple weeks, or the Deckers that are on for 70 years, the legacy businesses. So it's important that I think it's our job to be the biggest advocate and work hand in hand with Aaron Mons and the Tiffin Seneca Economic Partnership to be an advocate for them.
Question, so.
Yep.
And if we had more beds, whether it's Airbnbs, hotel rooms.
We need them.
So, yeah, it's kind of a question, right? So, we need them, what, can you guess, if we had 50 more beds in the community, would they fill?
Correct. They
Yes.
would fill. We find it like, for example.
So all you developers and listeners out there.
Yeah, I just talked to Pam at the Hampton this last week. They're selling out during the week now. And before it used to be, obviously the weekend was the thing, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, generally sold out Thursdays. I'm calling her now for, hey, this person's coming to town on Tuesday night. Can you fit them in, right? Which is good to hear for us. And our hotels continue to be booked. I think we're going to get to the point where, we're really maximizing what we can do. We're excited for the downtown hotel project that's going to be in the old Gibson Hotel when that comes to fruition. Those kind of projects I think are good for us. The Airbnbs are nice, the few that we have, but give people options. That's a big thing. I know as communities continue to grow, millennials are looking for the unique stays, and there's the folks that like the Hamptons, and there's also folks that like to do the Airbnbs. So we need to continue to diversify our offerings. We're meeting with the Chamber, for example, is meeting with the new Airbnb owner, I think, tomorrow to talk about her new situation as well. So
Right now we have people going to Findlay and Upper and things like that to stay for events that are in Seneca County, which is great that they're coming to the events, but we would obviously rather have them here. So if anybody wants to host a geocacher next summer, you just let us know and we'll send them to your house.
Okay, so now from a practical standpoint,
Yeah.
what you have separate or not separate, but is the Visitors Bureau still a separate entity from the Chamber?
So it's-
Separate and unique?
it operates under the same EIN,
Okay.
but it is a separate bank account. The Tourism Council.
So you have a separate budget?
Correct.
Income and expense budget?
Yes.
And is part of that money used to pay a staff member? Part of the income from the bed tax?
Correct, and so for the first time, Marissa, for example, before it was a contracted services within a contracted services employee, and now Marissa is a full-time employee who gets paid out of that tourism.
Okay, and did I see $40,000? Is that what? Is that what was generated last year in bed tax?
I don't know the exact number. It's been usually in the round of 120,000.
120,000,
Yeah.
okay. And all that money goes to the Visitors Bureau?
Correct. Yes. We take an administration fee for the chamber, which is outlined in the contract. We also have a fee that we pay to the Fostoria Visitors Bureau as well. But those dollars are being allocated straight
So
to
you kind of
Visitors Bureau.
determine at the beginning of the year what projected income is going to be, and then work a budget up for the Visitors Bureau based on that?
Correct. And we work hand in hand with, now that Tourism Council sees that budget, we walk through everything with them. And again, it's the transparency behind our tourism dollars to ensure that they're going in the right places, that our partners are seeing the benefit from where those dollars are spent.
So what is the total budget for the Visitors Bureau and the Chamber combined?
I don't have the number in front of me. I can get that to you, Mike, though. I can tell you, we spent down, for example, I was uncomfortable with that amount of dollars we had in the tourism in Destination Seneca County. Over the last few years, I felt like we weren't really utilizing those dollars to the best of the ability of our partners. And so we have spent down the dollars of tourism a little more than we have in years past. But I can get you those numbers of what that budget is and where that's at.
All right, thanks.
Of course.
Is Michael Strong still the chair of the?
Correct. Yeah, Michael Strong is our chair. And Denise Bell is our
Yeah.
vice chair of the Tourism Council.
Yes. Any comments from you?
Keep
I
it up.
just
Keep
had
it up.
there are soon to be four breweries in Tiffin.
Seneca County. So we got
Seneca County.
yeah. So Fostoria is Urban Woody. We have the Lab. We have Tiffin Brewery. We have Urban Woody, and then hopefully soon Hoptometry will be the fourth.
So, Aaron, just so you guys know, the village of New Riggle has 4 liquor licenses.
Yeah, we do.
I thought it was
I was
fine.
looking at Mariana, 280 people, they have four liquor licenses. Just saying.
For sure.
Thank you.
It's a good township.
What are you trying to
Anything
say,
else?
Tony?
They know how to
I'm not
have fun.
coming
I like
close,
it.
I'm trying to
Well,
be
thank
you for a
you
minute.
so much for letting us obviously present an update today, but also for all your continued partnership and the support that you give both to Destination and the Chamber, and for letting us do what we do.
Awesome.
Don't run with the scissors.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
We tell Deb that all the time.
Nice
so.
job, nice
Thank you,
job.
John. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is this, so we go in executive session now?
No, we can do it at the end.
You want to wait to the end? Okay, sounds good. We'll go to the end. Commissioner reports.
Sure, I'll begin. First of all, I want to make sure that before I forget to say this, on September 1st, we have scheduled a joint countywide ambulance district meeting and commissioners meeting. I think by advice of council at this point, and from a practical standpoint, that meeting will simply be a countywide ambulance board meeting, joint ambulance district meeting. The commissioners will not be in session that evening. Certainly could be there to observe, but it will be their meeting and not a joint meeting.
Okay, that makes sense to everybody?
So, last week, this past couple of weeks, we've all been busy. Tuesday morning was the attic affair that we were happy to be there for. So they had a great opening and they've had a pretty good week weather-wise. I think that morning was the worst day weather-wise, and then it got better from there. So we were happy for them for that. Had lunch Tuesday with Attorney General Yost. We talked about Seneca County specifically and some things that are going on in the Attorney General's office. Tyler and I participated in the Fostoria event on Wednesday, was it, or Thursday? I'll let him talk about that if he wishes. CEO board. These are the young kids who are starting their own businesses or being shown kind of how to start a business and then run it. It's a great program. I think it's in its 3rd year now. Aaron Gerlach, the priest of the church across the street, is running that program. And Susie Reineke is the chair of that. Great group of people, and the kids are getting involved in that. And if anybody has any problem sleeping, we're working on broadband. That's the broadband proposal. So I'd be happy to make a copy for anybody who might need some help falling asleep. That's my report, Chairman Kirby.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, As Commissioner Kirchner said, we did attend the chamber outing there for Fall Astoria, well attended. It's nice to get out there and meet with some of the local business owners and area, or people over there in the western part of the county. Got some events coming up. We've got the Taste of Tiffin here tonight. Tiffin Regatta on Sunday. It starts at 2 o'clock. Ribbon cutting tonight, right, Bryce? 4 o'clock for Majestic Maid.
Magnificent.
Magnificent Maid, thank you.
I think they would also like Majestic. Yes.
Yeah, but Majestic, yeah, okay.
I would say Majestic. I can't read, right? So,
Yeah, we also attended the 80th anniversary there for the Seneca County Museum Foundation. That was well attended. All three commissioners were there for that event. Got a meeting here today with Bryce and Marissa to go over some chamber and destination stuff. And then we're also going through the process of doing interviews here for the administrator here over the next few days. They have big shoes to fill, so yeah, got a busy week.
good. Educators breakfast. Tiffin University, 208 people, I think, is pretty exciting. The Honorable Aaron Mons was, you're still honorable to me, was the featured speaker. You did a great job. I know that was your third time, but that was a great speech, great talk. Aaron talked about his, kindergarten all the way up and how teachers influenced him, and it was just, it was awesome. There were 14 institutions there, if you count Bridges and Tiffin University and Heidelberg and Sentinel, and they all spoke. It was great, packed house. So really enjoyed that. We can be proud of our school systems. Made a trip to Columbus, met with Ice Miller, Commissioner-elect Frankert rode with me. Thought it was a productive meeting. We had a lot of questions. We met with John DeVoli was there. We went over the, because I fell asleep in my chair about the 5th page, so I had to go back over it with him. But there's some good information in this study. We're pretty excited about the rollout on the 30th. It's just the beginning. But in the end, we're going to have a comprehensive study plan as to what areas are underserved. They'll be here on the 30th. We look forward to follow-up meetings there. The museum tonight, if you're a Tiffin, if you want to learn about the history of Tiffin glass, that's tonight at 7 o'clock. Mr. Kaufman, who's a member of your board, will be the speaker. I'm going to try to get there. I know it'll be a great talk.
Marissa, that's another good reason for the calendar. Because, we do, when we're looking forward to events, fundraisers, or whatever, one of the first places we check is to see if anything else is scheduled on that night 3 months from now, right? I mean, this conflict, as I'm sure people will take care of. We've got Third Thursday, which is a pretty big event tonight, and then other things going on. Sometimes we have to be careful. The good news is there's a lot of things happening. The bad news is sometimes you have to be careful not to schedule 2 nice events on one night.
That's a good
Because
point.
then you're going to thin out the crowds for both.
Probably a treat, yeah. Good, thank you. And the Heritage Festival is the 17th. We received a call. All 3 of us will be in the Heritage Festival the Saturday morning, the parade. Looking forward to that. Just want to get that out there. I guess that's good for now. Administrator's report.
The only thing I have is we've got some more details on the capital funding opportunity for the jails, House Bill 687. The sheriff and I met with Carrie at GLCAP to go over the previous grant that we had submitted, and she's going to remove some of the items that the county has already committed to and paid for, pull that out of the grant, and they're going to be trying to resubmit it for this grant. Same type of grant. I think they realized with the last round how important and the need of jails is around the state. So they are offering that up again. So she is working on a contract for us. She said since it's updating, it'll probably be half of what it was before, but she's going to get that to us And hopefully we can get some money in for the jail for some of his capital projects, so.
Did we get any feedback at all, Stace, on how close we were to being granted? any
Granted,
money?
no, I can ask Carrie if she ever
Did
got
they tell you
any.
that? Did they-
Well, they'll tell you,
There's a way you
what
can
they
kinda-
usually do is tell
That's
you.
an interesting question.
Yeah, what, they prioritize some of the applications based on what the requests are. And, if we would maybe emphasize something.
I see, yeah.
More strong than we did something else, we might have been eligible. So, it kind of a postmortem on those applications is always a good thing, especially if you're not granted.
She has a contact down there, so I can suggest, and she may have already reached out to him.
I bet they
The thing
have.
with the last
That's
round
the
is,
answer.
we were told
Yeah.
that there was not gonna be, this money was gonna be for current jails. And the first round of this money actually ended up going to a couple
New.
large new, which
Yeah.
we did not, there was not,
No anticipation that was gonna be.
Yep.
Yeah.
so that's where a
Money
lot of
goes
the money
quick on
went,
those
yeah.
New ones,
Yep,
new large ones.
so hopefully we'll be in the,
I mean, that's why we have grants writers, because they know where to put the proper emphasis, and
yep.
they know what things to ask for as opposed to other applications that might not be as sophisticated.
Well, that's all I have.
Good. Anything else? Any old business? Okay, new business.
You're gonna let Kylie do that today,
All right, good. Kylie.
so go easy on her.
Okay.
That's easy to do.
Supplemental appropriation for unclaimed money trust fund. So the auditor's office is asking for $64.83, and that is in their 1075 account. Sub-app to the 1193 account for general special projects. Additional funds needed for pivot attorney services, $1,332.
Okay.
And then the concealed carry fund, there is a total of $2,123.10, and that is 1,800 in salaries, 2,610 in Medicare, $45 in workers' comp, and $252 in the PERS.
I think we want to make make sure to make one thing clear today. That is that anything changing in the general fund is not, we've stated that we're not going to make any adjustments to the general fund except those things that are grants and people moving money internally
Yep.
to cover their costs. So there is no new money in any of these requests that are coming out of the general fund.
Correct.
Well said.
So 3,500 into the 1096 fund for salaries, which is the step fund for the sheriff's office.
That's it.
And then engineer's office for their 1020 fund contracts is a sub-app of $967,893.48, which is the additional funds needed for the County Road 24 project. Special Projects Fund 1093 for a purchase of a copier. So their equipment fund $3,540. Victims. Victims of Crime Act grant, 2110, is an additional 15,000. And that is for their transfers out, because they have a transfer to do their true up for the year.
Can I ask a question real quick? I think I know the answer. Does each elected decide if they're gonna buy at least a copier? Whatever they wanna do, that's in their budget. Yeah, we don't have a county-wide. Do they
Nope.
use any vendor they wanna use? That kind of
Usually,
thing? Or do we try to stay,
not with the
Okay, everybody,
copiers.
that's what I'm-
Everybody's comfortable with a certain
they're
vendor
happy,
and.
they've had them?
Yep,
Okay.
and then we'll have some departments reach out to say who other vendors.
So each elected has a budget in
Yep.
their office, they can buy their own copier.
Some
Or
buy,
will.
some lease.
Okay, thank you. I assumed that, but now I know that.
Public Assistance Fund for 110,000, and 10,000 of that is for supplies that are needed, and 100,000 is the additional money needed for the client expenses. The Mental Expense Rotary Fund, they need an additional 2,000 in their contract service for additional attorney fees.
Okay.
There's a lot of them. Okay, and contract projects for the ditch maintenance fund is a total of 50,000 that is needed.
Are these three different ditches? Or this is one fund? I got it.
Just one fund, yeah.
Same accounts.
And then 2,500 is needed for a new computer for the equipment for that also.
I see.
And then, so contract services, they need 1,000 for that fund also. Okay, and then this is what Mike was referencing. It's a general fund, but it's for the grant for the Board of Elections. So there will be 5,000 in salaries, 36,000, well, 5,000 for employee salaries, 36,000 for salaries for the precinct workers, $34,909 for supplies, 2,000 for equipment, 25,000 for contract services, 10,000 for software license and services, 10,000 for their leases, 2,000 for advertising and printing. And then they also had the HAVA grant, which is Help America Vote Act, and the grant they got for that, so 7,200 into their supplies and 2,800 into contract services, for a total of 10,000 for the HAVA grant. And then we have one more.
So that's kind of nice. Good, good.
Quite a bit of money
Good, good.
for the special election we had in August. And,
Yeah,
Some of that, the state just granted them, some of that, did they have to ask for it?
yeah,
Yeah, so good job for them.
What did we have turnout wise for this last election? Was it 5 or 6%? 6%.
But that's a lot of money for, to go to the Board of Elections, grants. That's nice news.
and we didn't spend that much, so what they're trying to do, they're advocating to allow us to keep that additional for the special election to go towards future, but
Yeah.
they're still working on that.
Good job.
and
Okay.
then the Enterprise Zone Fund, 3,145 into their contract services. I think Charlene's on, it's for $22,868.89. So if you guys have any questions on that, I think Charlene's on to.
This one here. Make sure she can unmute.
Are you gonna, okay, you got it, Stace?
Yep. She should be able to unmute.
I'm here. Do you have any questions?
Nope, we're
Do you want-
good. You tried to reach me yesterday, I'll call you after the meeting, okay?
Oh, no problem. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
So basically, that's the administration fees. They did an audit on the fund, the 3145 Enterprise Zone Fund, and they did a audit since back to 2013. And the administration fees were not paid to regional planning. So this is what that money's for. I don't know, I think the auditor had sent a letter to you kind of last minute yesterday, just had some concerns, but I don't know if you'd had a chance to read through that yet.
I have, I'm comfortable with it only because I talked to Derek about it.
Okay.
And, you know, Derek gave us an opinion, but there's around $36,000 in this account. And regional planning went back to 2013 and can document that they did not receive money. That amount of money would have been entitled to them from 13 forward. We don't know what happened before 13, so the rest of that money stays in there. And Derek thought that it should go back into regional planning versus the general fund, so I think that's what it is. We're not, the money's already in an account, we're just releasing it, right? And sending it over. And I see Julie's side of it too, but again, I'm going with what Derek.
I think she's on. I don't know if she has any comments or
I don't know
not.
if Derek on. Julie,
Julie's
Julie
on.
can speak if she'd like to.
This is 2000, what year did you say?
So 2013, there was, and Julie's on, so she can give you her side of the story.
Yep, commissioners.
Go ahead.
Morning.
You want to add maybe your side of the story, Julie? If you want
Sure,
to.
so
Go ahead.
if you talk to Derek, he's probably already, or you've got an understanding of the opinion that I asked for concerning those funds, because they're actually under the umbrella of the commissioner and not through the regional planning board, which I needed clarification on, and he did that. But just to give you some history and a little background concerning those funds, they are for basically if, for instance, VH1, which is the NWO property out west of town, that was a community reinvestment area, and they made an application and requested an abatement for, I forget the number of years, it's since expired, I think it expired in 15. But one of the requirements of that abatement was that they were to pay into the county, I believe, $2,500 maybe a year, let's say. I don't have that figure in front of me, but it was to go into that fund, and as Derek illustrated in his opinion letter, that it could be, these dollars can be used for anything, and he cited certain code sections, and one of those code sections was the Tax Incentive Review Council. And that is the council that I'm the chairman of, and the role of the Tax Incentive Review Council is to look at these abated properties every year, whether it's regular community reinvestment or post-94 reinvestment or enterprise zones. The council gets to, and also TIPS in there. The council is called once a year to review the status of the companies, how they're performing, meeting certain benchmarks, and then the council makes the recommendation to the commissioners. In my letter yesterday, I was illustrating that what role the auditor has in that council and what expenses we've incurred over the years. And I, you know, if we're gonna start appropriating money out of that fund, I thought it was only fair to ask for appropriations for the role that the auditor has. But again, you know, those funds would be reimbursed back to the general fund.
So Julie, it begs the question, you're telling us what you are doing as it relates to the enterprise zone. What would it be the regional planning is doing that would justify $2,500 a year in administrative fees?
I'll defer to
Good
Chuck.
morning.
Mike, I'm on here. This is Charlene.
Okay, well,
So in
Wait.
2005,
Wait,
the
wait,
Stark
wait.
County Commissioners
Wait,
did a
Time out.
resolution appointing.
Hey, Charlie,
Charlene. Time out.
Time out.
go
The
ahead.
question, you're welcome to speak, but the question was to Julie.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So, Commissioner Kirschner, I've been a part of the council since I believe 92, 94. I forget exactly, I may have illustrated it in that letter. But you do, the role of the auditor's office historically has been to call the meetings, to prepare the minutes, to notify the board, make sure we contact the entities to make sure that they have proper notification. We do have to do some reporting with the state on some different things. That's just a high level for what the auditor does. Regional planning, historically, what I'm aware of, if that's what you're asking, they send a form to the entity that is required to be completed every year. Then the entity reaches out to us to gather information to help complete that form, and also a site visit to the property. I don't know, Charlene, can you fill in the blanks?
Sure. So what we do in regional planning for the enterprise zone and the Turk is we schedule site visits with anybody who's received that complete monitoring. So we provide monitoring forms, make sure they're the most current form. We follow up on the state regulation for completing the form. We assist the applicants with ensuring with any filing questions that they have, or if we need to, direct them in the right direction, like if we need to work with TSAP on their filing, if they, getting on the right regs for the auditors and paperwork they need from them. We ensure recipient is meeting agreed upon goals that are set in their enterprise zone or CRA requirements. That could be employee count, revenue, telling us what situations are causing them to have a problem, so we go through that. We conduct and schedule the annual site visit with them. On the annual site visit, we involve all partners that would have any potential review in that. We include the county auditor, the local townships, the school board, treasurer, and the economic development court. We invoice for the monitoring fees and reconcile the account. We coordinate with the township and school board for documentation and meetings if needed. So that has been going on since I've been here, and I am assuming, of course, that my predecessors did this. I do know that when I audited the file, that I can only go back through 2008 in our BIP accounting software, and regional planning did receive payroll expenses from that until 2013. At which point, there was probably a transition in people and information was not carried over, and therefore it was not done. So when I audited the file this year, because, it was kind of a stagnant fund and I wanted to know what we could do with it, that is what we could use the funds for. We're not asking for the complete balance, which is $36,011.76, because I don't think it's justifiable to ask for all of that. Moving forward, we'll invoice every year for the 25 because that's what's allowable, and that is for our services. Plus, we can use it for our travel expenses as well.
So how many enterprise zone applications did we have in 2021?
We only have Church and Dwight that is active at this point in time. We have no others. So we monitor every year for 10 years, and we help them the year prior with getting their application process completed and into the county as required to the county auditor.
Take a breath here. How many?
We have one with Church and Dwight right now.
We have one of all these things that you talked about you had to do, it involves one
Yes.
company.
Yep. And the stated monitoring fee in their contract is $2,500, and that's payable every year when we monitor.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Julie, you still there?
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, so are you requesting part of that $2,500? Or what exactly are you asking for?
I have not compiled a dollar figure, just because I didn't know that y'all were gonna be spending those funds. But, I think that to be accountable to the general fund for the expenses that have been incurred over the years for this program, general fund is certainly entitled to that.
Okay, so I'm trying to break this down so we can get off of first base. If $2,500 came in, the Church of Dwight writes a $2,500 check today for year's services. Do you object to the $2,500 going to regional planning? I mean, this has been going on for a long time, right? And is that normally where it goes? So, I'll pause. That's kind of how it would work, right?
In reviewing the legislation or the letter that Derek provided, it sounded like the expenses of the Tax Incentive Review Council
So,
could come out of those funds.
Julie, let me ask it another way.
Yeah.
Do the commissioners specify who is it that's responsible for administration of the enterprise zone?
You did, the Board of Commissioners back in, I think, 2005 passed that resolution for administering the enterprise zone.
So if we said the auditor is the administrator, there wouldn't be any question?
That legislation said regional planning, sorry.
Say that one more time.
Yeah, the resolution that was
Right.
passed in
No, I know.
2005.
Yeah, I know that, but if we, as a Board of Commissioners, said that the auditor is the administrator, would that make a difference?
I mean, we could have discussion on that. I think that my thought is that the administrator is entitled to a portion, and then the Tax Incentive Review Council is entitled to a portion.
Okay.
So I think the question is, going forward, so we have this issue of $36,000 sitting there. And then we have just going forward, we could discuss, to your point, that it would be a joint, we'd list both names as administering the list, and we could split the fee somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a possibility.
$22,000, $23,000 seems like a whole lot of money for the administration of, at this point, one.
Well, it's a retro, basically there's.
Well, I know it's retro.
Yeah, we're just trying to get, that money's gonna sit there forever, and I think we're trying, Julie, what's gonna happen to the rest of the money? Can we use that in the general fund? Can
There won't be
the,
any.
there's 36,000 in there, we're moving 23,000 out. Stacy, can we, the commissioners, say we wanna put that in the general fund?
If you want to appropriate the additional funds, then I could invoice the fund for the work over the years since the 1990s and request that payment be made, and of course it would be paid into general fund.
Well, it does, I mean, it does, once removed, go to the general fund, because Julie, if we fund part of your office from these
Correct.
funds, that would require you to request less from us for the general fund, correct?
Yes, if I understood correctly, yeah.
So Julie, your discussion is that would this revenue go into your auditor budget, or would it go into the general fund?
The staff that does this is partially paid from general fund,
Yes.
and so
Would it be in addition to her budget? or would it
the
go into
expenses
general fund?
over the years have been paid out of general fund, so yes, it would be a reimbursement to general fund.
Okay, so
then Charlene, this money, because you're not set up that way, would go to regional planning. The regional planning would pay for their services out of that, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
And just to clarify, I know it seems like, oh, we're asking for $2,500, $22,000 for 1 year. We're not. This is retroactive to 2013 because regional planning hasn't billed or hasn't been paid for their services since then. And the revenue report such reflects that we should be paid for that because we had multiple enterprise zones and CRAs throughout that time period from 2013 to 2022. So I didn't think there was only one now, and that's only one. There were multiple other ones from that time period, so that's just that process.
I don't think anybody.
Yes, those ones would come to us for our administration.
I don't think anybody doesn't understand that. We're talking about this year, $2,500.
Is this the last item we have?
I get the part of it's from the finance.
Okay, so this is the last item on the resolutions.
For the financials, there's still some other
Yeah, she's got to go
resolutions.
through that.
Oh, and then we have to do the back. So, we,
And
Go
I think it might be wise that, starting maybe 2023, if we want to do this so that we can split it, we're always, everybody does everything. So maybe we should set it up so that half of whatever monitoring fee, it is a monitoring fee that we receive, because that is what it pays for, is the monitoring, and our agency does the monitoring. But if we want to set it up so that the monitoring fee is split between our organization and the auditors, we could then ensure that that's taken care of every year when we set up the budgeting for the account.
I think that's a topic for another time.
Should we leave this in and move
Yeah.
forward or take it out? Want to leave it in?
I think you leave it in. and go
okay,
forward.
so we're gonna leave it in today, Julie. We still have 8, we have 7, we have $13,000 left in the account. And I would entertain further discussion later on it.
Well,
But
advice
for
of
today-
counsel says the money belongs to the administrator. This board had assigned the administrative
We have a
duties.
contract with them.
Well, they assigned the account, I don't think it's a contract, I think it's just an assignment
That
of
was
administrative
official.
duties to regional planning. But again, with historical repellent, we can make somebody else the administrator. And that income would then be appropriated to the proper.
Okay,
So,
keep going. Yep.
I have a resolution authorizing a fund transfer be made to the VOCA grant fund. So this is just being moved from the VOCA grant fund to the VOCA fund for $15,000. Resolution authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the STEP fund, which is the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program for the Sheriff's Office, for $5,000. Authorizing a fund advance from the general fund to the IDEP fund, which is the Impaired Driving Enforcement Program for the Sheriff's Office, for $5,000. Authorizing a letter of intent to purchase land on behalf of the Seneca County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And then I have 2 satisfactions of mortgage. Authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to sign a satisfaction of mortgage for Harold Zellner for the satisfaction of his loan with the Seneca County Commissioners for work done through the Community Housing Improvement Program, CHIP FY 1996. There are 2 of these, and the first one is for his original mortgage of $14,599, and the principal amount due shall be reduced by $1,455.90 a year. So it is the desire of this board to accept the payoff of $7,279.50. And the second one is an original mortgage of $9,191, and it would be a payoff of $4,206.
Well, these things take forever. I think we talked about this a year ago, or something, right? Lynn?
we always have satisfactions coming through, just
Yeah,
different
but I mean,
ones.
This one
Yeah,
is-
these are
seems
different.
like-
Yeah,
Okay,
not the same person.
it just, this is different, okay.
Unless there's any discussion, I'm gonna make them.
One more.
One more.
Sorry. I have a resolution reappointing Bonnie Voroff to the Seneca Metropolitan Housing Authority with her term expiring July 22nd, 2027.
Okay, now Tyler.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the new business supplemental appropriations and resolutions as presented.
I will second.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schutt?
Yes.
Commissioner Pearlisa?
Yes. Okay, so that completes, anything else, Stacy? Anything, Kylie? Okay, Jimmy, public comment, we'll open it up to the floor. Thank you for patiently waiting, all of you. Anyone that would like to say anything, please come forward.
I just have a quick comment. that-
Mr. Frankert in the back, elect Frankert in the back.
Well, actually, it's my business hat on right
Okay.
now, so yeah. But as far as the Airbnb, we started back in mid-May, and it is phenomenal. We've been pulling people in from Oklahoma, New York and stuff on that. And you know, one of the caveats, kind of where we're located at, you know, we're close to Tiffin or Fremont and stuff on that. But with Bryce doing and his team doing the folded they've done, a lot of times what they do, they leave comments and stuff on that, and they've been in Applebee's, and so, you know, a lot more of a draw to Tiffin and stuff from that, that's going on, since we've been able to get that for the last month and a half or so with that. So, one of the other things that everybody loves, it, you know, if anybody sees the Octagon House, it's really a unique place, it's really neat. The only thing we get dinged on is our Wi-Fi. So that's, again, I think with our two top priorities, looking after the county with the EMS and the broadband's really top tier caveat we need to follow through with that aspect, especially if we bring more people in from out of the area and out of state even and stuff on that, so.
You don't have a room to put a tower in your yard over there?
We do, but it just, yeah, it's like, it doesn't help much because there's nothing getting from the tower to there, so yeah. So we've been there and done that, so yeah, we've done it all. So.
Hey, Bill, just out of curiosity, like out of a month, how often would you say that place is rented?
So basically, we started, our first renters came in about mid-May, and from that time to now, we've had probably about, I'd say, 7 to 8 days where there's not been anybody renting it.
Okay.
So we actually had, which is pretty cool, there's some guys in that was actually working on some fiber in the Sandusky County area, so they've actually rented for like 15 days because it's cheaper for them to do that than it was to stay in Clyde and stuff.
So I'm sure you did some research for over. What's the average occupancy of a bed and breakfast?
So basically that anywhere, so ours has been, I would say an average of, 3 to 4, depending kind of the average kind of a family stay and stuff.
But I mean, like, you know, if you're on the Hampton or Holiday Inn, if you have a 70% occupancy rate, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, and that's what I think that the toughest thing, and I think with motels also, and I think we need to figure out kind of the late fall, winter time frame and stuff to try to get people in the area for different things going on there. I think that's going to be kind of the lean time what we're seeing already, because as Bryce alluded to, we've already have people booked next year for their event that they're having and stuff with the geocache thing. And those folks are coming out of Pennsylvania, so. But yeah, like I say, and with the aspect of that, you're talking about, the tax and everything on that, but, but participating with the chamber, being a member there, I mean, that supersedes kind of what you're missing out a little bit of the bed tax, but you're getting people in, that is unique stay and stuff.
In 2024 is the eclipse too, and based on like the who we've talked to within the tourism industry, they're saying to expect like 3 times as much of your population coming into the area. And we're Seneca County is a long span of when it's a complete blackout, so prepping for that too.
Seneca County's 200th birthday. Anybody else? Aaron? You guys good? Okay, Jimmy?
Yeah, I didn't see anyone in the chat, but if you are online and you want to speak during public comment, you can come forward and do that now.
So we'll take a motion. We're going to go in executive session to talk personnel. We don't anticipate any action today, so you're welcome to stay to the end. We'll come out and adjourn the meeting, but again, we don't anticipate any action.
So I would move that we move to executive session for purposes of discussing personnel.
11:14.
I'll second Commissioner Kirchner.
Commissioner Kirchner?
Yes.
Commissioner Schuff?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradisi?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we're back from executive session. It's 12:39, and I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
I'd like to make a motion that we come out of executive session.
We need a roll call.
Need a second.
Second.
Second, I'm sorry, I guess I'm seconding it.
Commissioner Chef?
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes, and so with that, meeting adjourned.